You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0. What's going on, gang? What a game, what a game. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Regardless of the result, that was a really fun game to watch, but the result makes it even better. The Montreal Canadiens with a 6-3 victory over the Ottawa Senators. And the Montreal Canadiens are officially, currently, in a playoff spot, guys. They're in a playoff spot. When was the last time we were able to say that? The Montreal Canadiens are currently the holders of the second wildcard spot. And, they've passed the Rangers. The Rangers are currently playing Calgary. I don't know if that game is over just yet. It wasn't last I checked, but it's close. The Flames were leading, and it looks like it is a final now. The Flames have beaten the Rangers 2-1. The Flames outshot the Rangers 35-13. So the Montreal Canadiens are currently all alone in the second wildcard position in the Eastern Conference. So how about that? I apologize for taking so long to get on the air. Just as I was about to push the button to go live, I spilled a glass of rum all over the floor. So I had to clean that up, and then I had to pour myself another one because we're not going to do this show without having a celebratory shot of rum. So cheers, guys, to the Montreal Canadiens, to a victory over the Ottawa Senators, and to a playoff spot with 15 games left in the season. Billy D, we got the result we needed. Happy to see Big Josh get rewarded for his hard work. Absolutely. We're going to talk about that some more. I do have to disagree with you, Anonymous, in your take that the first line was a little bit disappointing. I will point out to you that tonight, the first line, high danger scoring chances for and high danger scoring chances against. Cole Caulfield and Juraj Slafkovsky were on the ice for 4 high-danger chances for Montreal and 0 against. And Nick Suzuki was on the ice for 7 high-danger chances for and 0 against. So I'm going to disagree with you a little bit that the first line was disappointing. Perhaps, the fact that they didn't produce a ton of points tonight might have been a little bit disappointing, but the fact that they shut down Ottawa's best line, and the fact that they dominated the expected goals, they dominated the scoring chances, and they dominated the high danger chances for, I think, would be an indication that they had a pretty good game tonight. Rodney Radcliffe, McTavish next year, and will be fight for the next 26 Cup. True story. I don't know that that's the plan. I think the plan is probably to try and build this team from within. I think they're ahead of schedule a little bit. As far as being in the playoffs, I don't think that was envisioned this year. And, of course, they haven't yet qualified for a playoff spot. I don't know that they're going to abandon the rebuild just because they either make or come close to making the playoffs this year. I think they will stick with the plan, and I don't know whether that means running out to get somebody like Mason McTavish. I think if they have a decent offer for him and they can get him at a decent price, it's something they will definitely explore and consider. But again, I don't know that it's something that they'll be desperate to pull off at this stage of the rebuild. Like I said, right now they're ahead of schedule with the rebuild, and they're doing pretty well as it is. They'll have some new blood in the lineup next year with some young players coming in, including Ivan Demidov. So I think that will be a bigger thing. Another great character-building game and result. All the stars aligned for us tonight with Detroit and New York losing. Absolutely. It was a great game. I thought the Canadiens played an excellent game tonight. To me, tonight, I wasn't so much worried about what the score was as much as I was worrying about the way the Canadiens would come out to play, right? Would they shrink under the pressure of a game like this, or would they step up to the occasion? And would they be able to handle, the quote-unquote playoff atmosphere of a game like tonight's game, or would it be too much for them? Would it be too much for their young and inexperienced players? So I don't. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me that they were, they looked more than capable of playing tonight's game. They were ready. They showed up. They matched Ottawa in every aspect tonight, and they certainly looked like a team who was more than ready for tonight's game and more than ready to deal with the pressure, the atmosphere, the environment that tonight's game brought. So let's get the show going here, guys. If you are not yet subscribed, if you're here watching, I see there's a few people in here watching at the moment. I suspect some of you are still over watching Coach Frenchie, who now goes quite long after the games are over. If you're not yet subscribed, please do so. The button is down below. If you're watching in a replay, please do so as well. You can also hit the thumbs up button, guys. If you are enjoying the content, we do Habs After Dark after every Canadiens game, and we would love to have you join us and be part of the family, part of the community, where you can come and chat about the games, and you can do so in a place where we're gonna try and avoid and stay away from a lot of the BS that goes on around the internet. We're trying to keep it pretty civil and pretty objective over here. So that's what we're trying to do here. We'd love to have you all be a part of it. So if you want to join up, please hit that subscribe button down below and also the thumbs up. I do, Connor. I've got two of them right behind me. We lost Lucky somewhere along the way. Okay. The A team: Dvorak, Anderson, Gallagher, and Hudson. Honorable mention to Carrier and Struble. You're very close, Entertap. You're very close. I will admit that I had to change my A team at the very last minute. You would have been closer earlier. I did remove one of the people you have on your list from my list at the last minute. But it's a good list. And again, I have no dispute with any of those names. I think they all deserve to be there. But I have a little bit different list. Slav looked rough tonight. Well, again, Anonymous, I'm not sure what game you were watching, but Slavkovsky tonight was 4 high danger chances for, 0 high danger chances against. He was 9 scoring chances for, only 4 against. He was 82% expected goals percentage for. He was on the ice for 12 shots for and 7 against. He was on the ice for 18 Corsi for and only 8 against, and 26 Corsi for and 11 against. So again, not quite sure what you were watching tonight if you thought that Slavkovsky looked rough. I think you maybe were imagining things a little bit. So, guys, if you're over on TikTok, come on over on right here on YT. Come on over and join us if you want to join the show. You can, of course, ask questions over on TikTok. But if you want to join the show and you want to see all the graphics and all the fun stuff over here, then you can join us on YT. And that is the channel. That is the place you need to go on YT right there. You should do a live tomorrow for the Rocket. I will probably be doing my show tomorrow, Rodney, called Habs Therapy Day. I won't go live for the game because I don't want to step on Coach Frenchie's toes. I suspect he will be doing a live of the Laval Rocket game tomorrow, so I won't do that. But I will be doing Habs Therapy Day, which is our Wednesday night show. We go live with that show whenever the Canadiens are not playing on a Wednesday night. So we will do that tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern time if you care to join us. 7 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Atlantic time. Slav and Laine didn't have their best game. Beg to differ. Sorry, man. Beg to differ on that. I mean, Laine had a fantastic game tonight. I thought it was one of his best games as a Canadian, particularly on 5-on-5. Obviously he didn't get any points tonight, but I thought he looked really good. He looked engaged. He was, using his body, set up a number of scoring chances for his teammates, made a number of moves in the offensive zone, got back on defense. I thought he had a really, really good game. Moment of silence for the spilled rum. Yes, absolutely. What's up, NHL predictions? It's Adrian, right? One more try, Rodney. You mean Hudson. Hudson had a goal tonight, his 5th of the year. How many turnovers did Slavkovsky have tonight? Uri Slavkovsky tonight had 1 giveaway. Uri Slavkovsky with 1 giveaway tonight. So, again, the reason why I say 26 is because they meet the play out this year. They're going to get the 25th. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Rodney. I don't know. You're kind of all over the place a little bit. They can bring. You're talking about Ivan Demidov. Ivan Demidov won't be here. Ivan Demidov won't be joining the Canadiens before the playoffs. I asked myself the same question, enter tap. I didn't say it, but I definitely thought it. You're going to the Bell Center tomorrow. It's Adrian, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Adrian. I believe it is Adrian. It's been a while, so I kind of forgot, but I think it is Adrian. But the Bell Center tomorrow. What's going? Oh, are the Laval Rocket playing at the Bell Center tomorrow? I'm not sure. What's going on at the Bell Center tomorrow. What's going on, Larry? Welcome. As always, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Antoine, it's a tremendous privilege to have witnessed an outstanding performance by this team that I've envied since 1975. There you go, Antoine. Bienvenue, merci. It is a privilege to watch this team. It is a privilege to be a fan of the Montreal Canadiens. It's a great time, and it's fun to watch. It was a great game, and it's never a dull moment. It's never a dull moment at all. So, I hope that you guys enjoyed the game, and I hope that you guys will enjoy the show. So why? Oh, it's a concert. What concert is it, Adrian? Who's playing at the Bell Center tomorrow? We're going to go to the scoreboard, guys, for tonight's game. We're going to talk about it. Again, as we mentioned, the Canadiens with a 6-3 victory over the Ottawa Senators. Big game, big result, right? The Canadiens showed up. They played, they played their A game, and they showed up and brought their best. And like I said, to me, the score was secondary tonight. I more than anything just wanted to see that they would show up and see what they would be able to put on the ice tonight and how that would look. And they certainly stepped up to the occasion, and they had a great game. They played the way they're capable of. That's a few games in a row now. I believe they're 8-2, something like that, or 8-0-2 in their last 10 games. So it's impressive, and they're playing good hockey. We know what they're capable of. They know what they're capable of, and now it's just a matter of being able to do it on a more consistent basis when they absolutely need it. So tonight, guys, the Canadiens came out quite well early on. They scored the first goal of the game. Christian Dvorak was sent in all alone. Linus Elmark happened to be without his stick. He stopped a Patrick Laine shot a little bit earlier on the play, and as a result, his stick ended up going flying into the corner. He wasn't able to recover it, and so when Dvorak went in on goal on a breakaway, he had the advantage of going up against the goalie who had no stick, and Dvorak made no mistake, put a nice move on the goaltender, and scored his 8th of the year from Gallagher and Savard. Late in the period, Drake Batherson tied the game at 16:42. Interesting play. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but the faceoff was in the Ottawa zone, and Suzuki actually won the faceoff, and the puck ended up in the linesman's skates. And Suzuki was kind of trying to get the puck, and the linesman was trying to get out of the way. And in the course of trying to get out of the way, the linesman kind of blocked Suzuki from getting the puck and clearing it out or making a play with it, and as a result, the puck ended up going back to the Ottawa Senators, who broke out of their zone, went all the way down to the other end, and scored a goal. Drake Batherson, his 19th of the year from Dylan Cousins. Cousins has been a big player for Ottawa since being traded at the deadline. He's got points, I believe, in all 5 games since he joined the team. I will absolutely happy. I listened to all of the press conferences, and I definitely will, but I will do so tomorrow certainly after the show is over. I will do it tomorrow morning. I will watch all of the interviews that get posted on YouTube. The second period was kind of I don't know, the teams just kind of tightened things down a little bit. The only goal of the period was from Michael Amadio on a bit of a fluke play. The puck kind of, Montembeault made the save, and the puck kind of rolled up his shoulder and down his back, and Amadio was kind of Johnny on the spot, put the puck in the net. So it's Amadio's 10th of the year from Hamonic and Giroux at 12:38. So the Ottawa Senators head into the third period with a 2-1 lead. The Canadiens come out early on a goal by Lane Hutson. It was interesting because I was actually listening to the TSN 690 intermission show, and they were interviewing the guy who does the play-by-play on the radio, and I can't think of his name right now, Vince something maybe. And he was talking about how Lane Hutson's shot wasn't very good, and that it wasn't a threat, and that he needed to work on it and whatever. And then, of course, 3 minutes into the period, Lane Hutson scores on a nice shot from Jake Evans. It's Hutson's 5th of the year. He now has 53 points or 52 points, I think, something like that on the season. So he continues to roll and continues to march towards the Calder Trophy. That tied the game at 2. Travis Hamonic scored. This is probably the low point of the game for the Canadiens. Hamonic scores his, I think it said it was his first of the year, from Perron and Clevin at 6:13. It's hard to tell whether the puck was deflected on the way to the goal or not, but either way, Samuel Montembeault was one that he probably should have saved, and it was one that he definitely could have saved, and he certainly would want to have back. It was a bit of a stinker of a goal, and it gave the Ottawa Senators the lead back at 3-2, and it certainly would have been an invitation for a young, inexperienced team to sort of go to sleep and sort of fall apart a little bit. But the Canadiens didn't do that, right? We've talked about how this team has matured since the beginning of the year, and how they deal with adversity and how they deal with situations just like this. And so tonight, rather than folding up their tent, going down 3-2, about 6 minutes or so into the third period, the Canadiens turned it on. And it was the quote-unquote culture drivers, right? If you guys listen to Marty St. Louis' interviews, I think it was either the one he gave today or the one he gave yesterday, his press conference where he talked about the culture drivers on the team. And he specifically referred to Josh Anderson, right? Guys who represent the culture that the Canadiens are trying to build, right? The guys who are examples of the style of play and the style of people and the personality and the identity that the Montreal Canadiens are looking to build with this rebuild. Josh Anderson was a guy that he singled out as being one of those guys, and he referred to him as a culture driver. I would certainly say that Brendan Gallagher probably would fit in that category as well, right? So here are two guys who whose careers have changed drastically in recent years. They're guys who, certainly played a different role on the Montreal Canadiens previously in their careers. Guys who, were expected to produce offensively, guys who scored goals, guys who did, a lot of different things on the ice. And now they've taken on a much different role where they play a bottom six role. Obviously, it's great when they can put some offense up, but that's not what they're being asked to do. They're being asked to kill penalties. They're being asked to play a tighter game. They're being asked to bring some grit. They're being asked to bring some energy to the game. And I think one of the big positives of this team this year that has allowed them to get to the point where now they're in a playoff spot is the role that these guys have played and the way that they've embraced those new roles, right? The way that, Josh Anderson, last year obviously struggled because I think he was sort of still trying to hang on to the way that he used to play and what he used to believe his role was, and now this year he seems to to be more accepting of the role that he has, and so is Gallagher, right? So Josh Anderson scores at 10:22 on a rebound on a Carrier shot. Linus Ullmark just doesn't do a very good job of controlling the puck, and the puck ends up squirting out. And Josh Anderson, again, Michael Amadio was Johnny on the spot, and this time it was Josh Anderson. He scores. Nick Suzuki then scores at the very tail end of a power play from Gallagher and Newhook, and then it's Josh Anderson again. By the way, that power play that Nick Suzuki scored on was created by a nice play by Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson with a nice defensive play in his own zone to break up an Ottawa Senator pass. And in doing so, he basically induced Shane Pinto into a tripping call, which then gave the Canadiens a power play, and Nick Suzuki was able to score on that power play. Then Josh Anderson scored into an empty net with a little under 2 minutes left in the game. And then Brendan Gallagher scored also on an empty net with just under a minute left in the game. The final score is 6-3 for the Canadiens. They dominate all the categories. The shots are 33-25. The Corsi is 59-42. The Fenwick is 45-32. The high danger scoring chances are 12-7. And the expected goals are 5.17 to 2.54. So again, a really nice performance by the Montreal Canadiens. I think the score is probably a little, blown out of proportion a little bit. I wouldn't say that this was a 6-3 game. The game was pretty tight until sort of the last half of the the last half of the third period. This is not a game that Ottawa will say that they didn't play well. But again, I think the Canadiens demonstrated a lot of maturity for a young team, for a team that's not experienced, for a team that's sort of playing meaningful games for the first time. And this, for a lot of those guys, was probably the biggest game of their careers. And they came out, and certainly when it mattered late in the game, they were the better team, and they took this game from the Ottawa Senators. So that's it for the scoreboard, guys. We'll get back to your questions here, and I see that there's a few waiting, so I apologize for carrying on a little bit there over the scoreboard. But we'll get back to your questions, guys. If you're not subscribed, please do so. Give us a thumbs up. If you're over on TikTok, come on over here. You can ask questions over there. Mateo, not a relevant question. I don't really care about that guy, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm not really that interested in talking about it. No worry, but there is way to get the Russian phenom before the playoffs start. It will involve money. Well, yes, I suppose they could buy out his contract, but I don't see that happening. I think if it was going to happen, it would have already happened by now, Rodney, to be quite honest with you. I don't see Ivan Demidov coming here before his contract ends with the SKA St. Petersburg. The rock band Disturbed. Okay, that should be a good time, Adrian. That should be a fun time. Suzuki, number one star. Maybe. We'll see. I agree, Larry. That was a really well-coached game, I thought, by Marty St. Louis tonight. I think he's definitely improved as far as his in-game management and stuff tonight. I thought it was really an impressive performance by him. He, was doing a really good job with the matchups. Obviously, there were a ton of icing calls against the Senators tonight, where the Canadiens had the opportunity to get the right guys on the ice at the right time. Unfortunately, their face-offs were not ideal tonight. Their face-offs, they could have been a lot better. That was probably the only real negative to look at as far as this game is concerned. So, but no, I agree with you that it was a well-coached game. Suzuki was clutch again. Again, another culture driver, right? Another guy who sets the tone and is an example for the other players on the team. Those were the guys tonight who stepped up, right? Suzuki, Josh Anderson, Brendan Gallagher, Christian Dvorak to an extent. Brady Tkachuk had a big game, -2. Again, so for those who were disappointed in the way that the first line played because they didn't get any points tonight, have to also keep in mind that line was out against, Tkachuk and Stützle and Giroux for most of the night tonight, and essentially shut those guys down, right? Not essentially shut them down, completely shut them down. So again, there's different aspects to the game than production sometimes, and sometimes you got to look a little bit deeper to see the performances of certain players. The bar at the bottom of my screen says Canucks. Does it still? I thought I fixed it. By the way, guys, there's a question down here if you guys are interested in answering it. I thought I fixed it. It did say Canucks, and then I fixed it right before I went on the air. Let me see here. And it says Senators, does it not? Does it say Canucks on your screen? It says Senators on mine. I mean, I can fix it by doing that. Maybe. I don't know. Well, let's just get it all fixed here, guys. Let's get it all taken care of. That should work. That should... Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. It said it on that screen. So I'm going to go here. And then I'm going to go there. And I'm going to go here. And I'm going to go do that. So I'll go here. And I'll go. Sorry, guys, just getting my graphics sorted out here. All right, so let's get back to it. To your questions. Habs 1 point in front of the Rangers, 2 games in hand. 3 points ahead of Detroit, Columbus, and the Islanders. Habs are in the driver's seat right now. That's true, PLW. They're in the driver's seat, and they'll continue to be as long as they, as long as they continue to play they did tonight. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. You can answer the question down below, guys. The question is about the playoffs. The shot in the dark question of the night. Who would you most like to see Montreal play in the first round of the playoffs? That's the question of the night, guys. So maybe if you want to post your questions in the comment section, that would be great. Josh Anderson, if they make the playoffs, Josh will be a great asset built for the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, again, he's embraced this new role, and I think he'll be a great asset no matter where he plays. Claude Richard, great game. Go Habs, go. At PLW's A-team, Gallagher, Dvorak, Anderson, Hudson. Very close, PLW. Very close. Alex Bob, I'd love to see Kent chase after Aaron Ekblad this offseason. Yeah, I don't. I would not love that. I don't see why they would do that. Let's just see. Is Aaron Ekblad a right-handed shot or is Aaron Ekblad a left-handed shot? The only way it possibly could make any sense would be if he's a right-handed shot, and he is a right-handed shot. I just don't see him being what the Canadiens need right now. I don't see. I mean, I guess it all depends on how much you get him for. I don't know. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't be over the moon for that. 4 stars: Suzuki, Hudson, Anderson line. Well, that's more than 4, Claude. That would be 5. So you're gonna have to narrow it down a bit. I think Demidov should go to Laval for the start of the season next year and learn the NHL ropes. I mean, maybe if he needs to, Larry. I don't think they should make that decision before training camp. I think that they should make that decision after training camp. If he comes to camp and it looks like he's ready to go, then I think he should play in the NHL. If he goes to camp and he looks like he needs a little bit more seasoning and he needs a little bit of time in Laval, then I think he should go to Laval. Vince 11, welcome. Suzuki has become a leader by example in such little time. When you think about it, very impressive. So hoping for playoffs. Let's effing go. I agree, Vince. I think Suzuki's a very underrated player, and I think people are going to start to notice, his tangible assets as well as his intangible assets. Right, his leadership, leading by example, the way he, just all of that stuff. Right, the stuff that he brings to the team. Like, he's not the most vocal guy in the world, but I mean, you saw him tonight, right? When the games matter, he shows up, and it's something that the other players look at. Suzuki should win the Selke Award or the Silky Award. His play is pretty silky sometimes, but I think you mean the Selke Award. I don't know about that. I have my issue with the Selke Award. I don't think the Selke Award typically goes to the best defensive forward in the NHL anymore. It typically goes to the best two-way forward in the NHL, in which case Suzuki might be a candidate for it. However, I think somebody like Jake Evans is probably just as, if not more so, deserving of the Selke Trophy. Demidov is a staple second line booker. Well, you don't know that, Gaindo. That's all I'm saying is that we'll wait and see how he performs when he shows up next year and how he does in camp and whether or not he earns himself a spot on the NHL team. If you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over to here on YT. There's the channel address right there if you want to come join us. Come on and do so. Billy D, you can't see the screen now? Okay. Oh, that's back when I was fixing it. Senators, it says, yeah, I fixed it. When you put the scoreboard, it said Canucks. I gotcha. I fixed it now. PLW, whoa, that is what I had, but I had Suzuki on the A-team, true leader and captain tonight. He was clutch enter tap, but one goal doesn't make a game. The third line was awesome, and Hudson was stellar. Well, PLW, maybe one goal does not make, but offense isn't the only thing we look at, right? Other people might just go by the goals, but tonight, Nick Suzuki was on the ice for 7 high-danger chances for Montreal and 0 high-danger scoring chances for Ottawa. That does make a game. So, it's not just about, I don't pick my A-team based on the guys who get the most goals or the most assists or the most points. I tend to try and go a little bit deeper than that. And I think that Nick Suzuki was spectacular tonight. I thought he had a really, really good game. What about Sam Bennett? Not a huge. I don't need to have Sam Bennett either, guys. I'm really at this stage of the rebuild. I don't think the Canadiens need to desperately run around trying to sign free agents or make trades. The rebuild is well above or well ahead of schedule, right? This year the hope was that they would play meaningful games, and they're doing that. They're currently in a playoff position. Without a second line center, by the way, apparently, they're playing as good a hockey as they've played all year without a second line center, and so to me, I don't think they desperately need to go out and get somebody. If they can get somebody at the right price, if they can sign a free agent who's not going to cost them a great amount. Then okay, but I don't want them to make a trade where they have to give up any prospects or draft assets or anything like that. Not at this stage of the rebuild. Maybe in a year or two, when they get to the point where they're on the verge of contending for a Stanley Cup and they need to add a final piece or two. But I don't see them going out and adding a guy who's going to be your highest paid player. I don't see them going out and adding a guy who, will. I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I think that they have assets within the organization. I think they're playing fine right now as it is. Like I said, they're far ahead of schedule with the rebuild, and next year they'll only be better as some of their prospects graduate into the NHL. Demidov hopefully will be able to play in the league next year. Guys like Owen Beck will get a chance. Guys like Reinbacher will get a chance. Caden Gooley will be healthy. Kirby Doc, again, we'll see what he can do at camp, whether he can, regain his form and become a guy who, because frankly, if he does regain his form, then we're fine. There's your second line center. But again, it's a matter of whether or not he can do that or not. Michael Hage won Rookie of the Year in his league. Okay, I didn't see the announcement yet, but that makes sense. So he would have won the Big Ten Rookie of the Year. The Selke Award is no longer what it was intended to be, right? The Selke Award used to go to guys like Bob Gainey and Guy Carbonneau and, guys like that. And now it goes to, players who are good defensively, but also, get 60, 70 points a year. And that's not what that award was intended to be. It was intended, if you read the inscription on the trophy, it's intended to go to the player who's the best defensive forward in the NHL, and it just doesn't. It would be great that Montreal plays against the Maple Leafs in the first round. That would be fun. That would be a good time. What do I think about Joshua Roy's game? I thought he had a pretty good game tonight, actually. He's still young. I think he's still learning. His game is still a little bit immature. I think that he is. I think he's struggling a little bit to find out or to figure out what his role is and what he needs to do to become an everyday NHLer. But again, I thought he played well tonight. That line is not an ideal second line as it stands right now with Newhook, Roy, and Laine, but they're more than they looked good tonight. They had scoring chances. Joshua Roy had a couple of scoring chances. Newhook had multiple scoring chances. And I thought Patrick Laine looked really good tonight as well. So, I think, obviously I don't think that Joshua Roy at the end of the day is a guy who will be a long-term player on the second line. But I think I just saw my brother in the crowd at the Canadiens game. That's interesting. I wonder if he was there. I'll have to send him a quick text. I don't see Roy being a second liner on the Canadiens, when they become a contending team, but you never know. I'm just texting my brother. Okay, Hudson will be the highest paid player on the Habs. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I don't think that you could possibly know that, and I certainly don't know that. But we'll see. Do I think Evgeny Malkin would ever win a Selke? Interesting. Ivan Demidov will make more than Hudson. Who knows? Potato lover again. Who knows? We're a long way away from all of that. Galley spoon-fed Suzuki for that goal. And you're a good guy, man, but let you know that the Russian phenom will be in this year. Okay, well, we'll see. I hope you're right, Rodney. I hope you're right. You always think of Carbonneau when you think Selke. Yeah, I do too, but I really think of Bob Gainey, right? Bob Gainey won... How many Selke awards did Bob Gainey win? So Bob Gainey would have won even more Selkes because he won it the first year they had it. So he would have won it in years before. So Bob Gainey won the Selke Trophy the first 4 years that it existed. He won it in 78, 79, 80, and 81. And he would have certainly won it for at least 2 or 3 years before that. So, Bob Gainey, Steve Casper, Doug Jarvis, Craig Ramsey, Troy Murray, Dave Poulin, Guy Carbonneau, Rick Mahar, Guy Carbonneau again. These are the players that used to win the Selke Award. These are players who are, defensive juggernauts who used to win this trophy. And now it's given out to guys like, Ryan O'Reilly, Anze Kopitar, Patrice Bergeron, Jonathan Toews, Alexander Barkov, Ryan Kessler, Pavel Datsyuk. Like, Pavel Datsyuk won it 3 years in a row. There's no planet where Pavel Datsyuk was the best defensive player in the NHL for 3 years in a row. So, just crazy, but it is what it is. Anderson almost got his Achilles tendon slashed before getting his surge. Okay, I don't know exactly what you mean by that, PLW. Is Fowler eligible to join the Rocket this year? He would be eligible. He could if he wanted to. Once his season is over in the NCAA, Alex, he could choose to leave Boston College and sign a contract with the Canadiens, in which case he would be eligible to play. He would be eligible to play for the Rocket or for the Canadiens. I would expect that if he did come out, that the Canadiens probably would bring him up to play a few games in Laval. They might also give him a game in the NHL. They often do that as a bit of a favor. When they do that, it also burns a year of their entry level contract, right? By doing that. Which is, something that they typically use as an incentive or an inducement to have them sign their contract. So, if you're enjoying the show, guys, please hit the thumbs up button down below. And if you're not yet subscribed and you want to join this community, if you enjoy what you're seeing, we go live after every Montreal Canadiens game. We do the show for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. After every Canadiens game, we try to do civil, intelligent, rational, objective, all that good stuff. We try and stay away with some of the usual BS that comes with the internet and have some fun and intelligent conversations. If you want to do that, if you want to be part of the community, then please hit the subscribe button down below. Yeah, Gainey was I always think back to the Soviet Union coaches and managers back in the 70s when they were asked who the best hockey player in the world was, and their answer was, to everybody's surprise, was Bob Gainey, and they described him as the perfect hockey player. Let's go Habs. Yes, John Saunders, playoff hockey is better with Montreal in it. I will tell you that there is no better place on this planet than the city of Montreal in the springtime when the Montreal Canadiens are in the playoffs. There just isn't. You walk down the streets and it's, the energy is palpable. You can feel the electricity in the air and everybody is excited and the patios are full and, everyone's talking about the game. And it's just, there is really no better place to be than Montreal when the Canadiens are in the playoffs. And frankly, if they make the playoffs, I probably won't spring for tickets to go to any of the games, but I might very well fly up and spend a few days in the city just to be around it, watch the games in at the Peel Pub or some other sports bar and enjoy it that way. Yeah, I think Billy D might be a little bit younger than you and I, Enter Tap. Dvorak beat a goalie that had no hockey stick on that first goal. Yes, that is correct, PLW. There was a very scary incident with Pinto and Anderson where Pinto's skates got stuck on Anderson's skate during the second or beginning of the third. Okay, I'll have to. I didn't notice it. PLW. It all started when the NHL gave the Selke to Fedorov. Yeah, you could say that that's probably around when it started. Trying to go back here and see. Doug Gilmour. They gave it to Gilmour in '93. Fedorov in '94, Ron Francis in '95, Fedorov again in '96. So those four guys are guys who I wonder. Then they gave it to Michael Pekka, I think, who probably fits the bill. Then Jari Lehtinen for 2 years. Steve Yzerman won it in 2000. Like, Steve Yzerman, the best defensive player in the NHL? I don't remember that ever being a case. Then they went to John Madden. John Madden, I think, probably could make an argument he was the best defensive player in the league. So, again, there's been some questionable, and then it's sort of, yeah. I mean, I think it really made a turn for the worse when they gave it to Pavel Datsyuk in 2008, 2009, and 2010. Lane Hudson is still in the lead for the best rookie of the year. Yeah, I guess it depends on who you ask, Adrian. I think the odds makers have it a little bit different, but I think he is the best rookie in the NHL this year. Yeah. Anderson incident happened early in the second period. Okay. Where am I from? I'm from Canada, Curtis. Hudson and Celebrini are 2 points away from each other. That is correct. That is correct. If the Habs don't make the which they will, but if they don't, these games are all playoff games, which is great for this young team. So I think you mean if the Habs don't make the playoffs, which you think they will, these games are all like playoff games. And you're right. And this is all about experience, right? This is why the Canadiens management wanted them to be playing quote unquote meaningful games, right? They wanted them to experience this type of atmosphere. They wanted them to experience this kind of game, which is why for me, it was all about how they showed up tonight. It wasn't the score, even if they'd lost tonight, I would have looked back on it and said, did they show up? Did they bring their A game? Did they play the way that they're capable of? And did they bring their best? And did they give the Ottawa Senators a run for their money? Right. And so, they did that. And so in that sense, I'm happy regardless of the score. Obviously the score is nice. And the fact that they're in a playoff spot is nice. And I think they responded to the situation. They met the challenge. They overcame the challenge, and they proved to everybody, including themselves, that they're capable. Like this is who they are, and this is what they're able to do. And I think they're gaining more and more confidence, and the confidence will bring more consistency. And if they can keep this up, for the next 15 games, then you're looking at playoff hockey. There's no guarantee that will happen, but if it does, then I think you're looking at playoff hockey. I have a bet on Hudson from December, the Calder 19 times. Nice, PLW. Nice. What a great bet. Big Tuna, what's going on? Both Montreal and Laval are playing meaningful games, which helps the development. Absolutely, Big Tuna. Everybody's getting experience right now, right? They're learning new things, right? And that's why it's cool for the rebuild to be a little bit ahead of schedule, right? Because, by being ahead of schedule, again, if the Canadiens make the playoffs, I don't think any of us are going to be, torn up if they don't win the Stanley Cup, right? They're not, them being in the playoffs won't be an invitation for us to, have expectations of them winning the cup, right? Anything they do in the playoffs will be gravy, right? It'll be icing on the cake. And so, realistically, the biggest aspect of them making the playoffs will be the opportunity for them to gain the experience of playing playoff hockey games, so that when it does come times that you do have expectations on them to win in the playoffs, young players like Hudson and Gooley and Jack-Eye and Slavkovsky and Newhook, and Newhook's won a Stanley Cup, so it's not anything new to him. But all those guys, even guys like Jake Evans, who missed most of the playoffs the year that the Canadiens went to the final. Those guys won't be playing the playoff games for their first time, right? That won't be a new experience for them. They'll have something under their belt. They'll have something to look at. Wi-Fi got away with an interference call at center ice, TSN turning point. Okay. If that's what you think, Bear, that's great. But I don't know that I would call that the TSN turning point. I think there were a number of calls either side that could have gone either way. I don't think one team was advantaged or disadvantaged by the referees tonight. Certainly the first penalty call of the game was, a typical Tim Stützle dive. So again, I'm not gonna get into all that tonight. I don't think that the referees made the difference either way tonight. I think if you're being honest with yourself, I don't think you believe that either. Proud Poppy, what's up? If you guys are over on TikTok, guys, you can watch us over here. You can come and join us on YT right here. Or you can ask your questions here on TikTok, and we'll certainly do our best to answer. But if you want to see the graphics and get the full experience of the show, then you'll have to come over and join us on YT. And the channel, the YT channel, is right here. So open up your YT app and go to that address or punch that in and come and join us over here. We're talking about the Canadiens and the Senators. First round matchup prediction. Again, that's one of the questions we're asking over here, guys. Who would you most like the Canadiens to play in the first round of the playoffs? Russian Red Army coach Viktor Tikhonov, yes, was the one who said, yeah, it was him and others who said that in our tap that Tikhonov was the one who on December 31st, 1979 said Gainey was the best player in the universe after a 3-3 draw. Yes, one of the greatest hockey games of all time. I was 6 years old. Well, was I 6 years old? Yes, I was 6.5 years old. Current odds, Celebrini at 1.5, Hudson at 2.75. You don't think Celebrini has much of a chance anymore? Okay, I think he still does. You got to remember that this is an award that's voted on by the media, and Macklin Celebrini is going to be a pretty popular guy in that sense. Newhook has impressed me with his play. Not saying he is our second line center, but he has done well. Yeah, I thought Newhook had another really good game tonight. If he could just get a little bit of luck and put one of those in the net, I think it's going to go a long way, and I think you'll maybe see the floodgates open a little bit for him. Brad Reddington, Gainey was amazing. I agree with you. If all Canadian teams get in the playoffs this year except one, it will be the first since 1993. You know what happened in 1993? I do know what happened in 1993. All right, Billy D, thank you for sticking out with us here. Have a great night, and thank you for being here, and have a good sleep, and good luck at work tomorrow. We'll talk to you next time. Referee is a bit of a give and take, win some, lose some. Yeah, again, I don't think the refereeing is great in the NHL. It's typically bad. Most nights it doesn't really favor one team over the other. I think that was the case tonight. I think they missed calls tonight. I think they called calls that shouldn't have been called, but it is what it is. I don't think that it helped or hurt either team. Some players did go to the finals in 2012, and their job will be to try and guide the young player. You mean 2022, 21? Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, but again, like if the Canadiens do manage to get into the playoffs this year, it will give those young players the experience of playoff hockey. That way, down the road when the team is expected to do something in the playoffs, and they're expected to win some series and to perhaps win a Stanley Cup, they won't be playing playoff games for the first time, right? So they'll have that experience. They'll know what it's like to walk onto or step onto the ice at the Bell Center, during a playoff game. They'll know what it's like. Maybe Toronto, maybe they'll know what it's like to step onto the ice at the Air Canada Center, or in Tampa Bay or in Florida, and they'll know what that playoff atmosphere feels like, and they'll also know about we hear people talk all the time about playoff hockey and how different it is, right? And how there's differently than you do in the regular season. So it'll be nice for them to gain that experience for sure if they are able to make their way into the playoffs this year. The best referees are in wrestling. Okay. Montreal makes the playoffs, and we want them to play Washington. Okay. Yeah, I would say. I think that would be a fun series. A great game. Was nice to see some depth scoring tonight. Yes, Cohen, it was. It was interesting because the first line tonight played more of a defensive role, right? They shut down the Senators' number one line, and in the meantime, the bottom six guys were the ones who got the scoring going for them, right? And it was, I think that has been one of the greatest assets of this team all year long was, when they are getting contributions through the entire lineup, right, from top to bottom. I think that's when they've been at their best. And we talked, Jake Evans and the way he was playing earlier in the year, and Gallagher and Anderson have been overperforming all year. Armia, and of late Dvorak has been playing well. So it's great to see contributions coming from different places on a night in and night out basis. Obviously, you rely on your top line for your offensive production on most nights, but tonight they shut down Ottawa's best line, and the other lines stepped into the breach and took over some of the offensive aspects of the game. There's different officiating in the playoffs too. There's different officiating from game to game, which is part of the problem. Would I trade Hudson for Celebrini 1-for-1 if I could? I probably wouldn't right now. And again, I'm perfectly willing to admit that there's a bias there on my part. The reason I wouldn't trade Hudson for Celebrini is because I'm excited to see what Hudson can do. I'm excited to see where his career goes, and I would rather see that happen with the Montreal Canadiens than with somebody else. And I certainly respect Macklin Celebrini, and I think he's going to be an incredible hockey player. But I think Lane Hudson's going to be an incredible hockey player too. And as a Canadiens fan, I'm invested in Lane Hudson. I've fallen in love with the player. He's a great hockey player, and while I'm perfectly willing to admit that there's a possibility, even a decent possibility, that Macklin Celebrini turns out to be a better player in the long run. I would much rather watch, because I've now, become invested in the player. I would much rather see what Lane Hudson's capable of. I'd much rather watch that. Yeah, I mean, Evans has been a big contributor to this team, Cohen, and I think he has the opportunity to be a contributor in the future down the road. Like he is, pencil him in on the fourth line for the next, 5 years. I'm all for it. Yeah, Matteo. I mean, I think what you're getting from Hudson is a rarer commodity than what you're getting from Celebrini. But again, Celebrini, if he does turn out to be that, Sidney Crosby type, a guy who, excels in all aspects of the game, is a really, really smart player, good leadership abilities. He's obviously, he's 2 years younger, 3 years younger, perhaps even than Lane Hudson is. There's a huge upside for Macklin Celebrini too. So again, it's not on my part, it's not an indication that I don't think that he's any good or whatever you want to call it. It's just for me, I've grown accustomed or I've grown invested in Lane Hudson and his success and his future. And frankly, I'd rather watch him develop than somebody else. Glad the team was able to overcome adversity in that third period, especially since Monty did not have his best game. Yeah, again, we talked about that earlier, Entertap. The fact that, in October or November, the Canadiens might have folded up their tent when Montembeault let that, that weak-ish goal in. Can we call it weak-ish? That might have been something that they would have had a hard time dealing with at another point of the season. But tonight they handled it fine, and they didn't quit, they didn't give up. And that could have been a backbreaker, but it wasn't. And they certainly played their best hockey after that goal was scored. Did I see Jackeye and Pizzetta? I did. Yeah, it wasn't. People kept telling me about it before I was able to watch it, and frankly, once I did get to see it, it was kind of much ado about nothing. Really, it wasn't really that big a deal. It just shows you how this young team is growing, Intertap. Absolutely, Larry. And we talked about, like, if you guys, I mean, again, I'm not trying to blow my own horn here, but again, like, if you've been watching this show from the very beginning, this is what I've been talking about, right? They're learning how to win, right? Back when they were losing and everybody was on their case and, people wanted Marty St. Louis to get fired and, Matt Rempe with another bad elbowing penalty because he doesn't know how to skate. Anyways, yeah, so we talked about they're learning how to win and they're learning lessons, right? And people were calling me a homer and saying, you're being too light on them, and it's part of the learning process. It's part of the process, and those losses in October and November taught them lessons that they're now using in February and March to win hockey games, right? They're learning about we did this. Remember we used to do the report card, right? We did the report card and we talked about weathering the storm and dealing with adversity and, all of these different things that we talked about, playing a full 60 minutes, all of this stuff. These are the lessons that they've been learning. These are the winning habits that the Canadiens, have developed over the last 4 or 5 months that are now allowing them to win games, to win important games, to win meaningful games. When judging for the Calder, you have to take the players and their impact, not their age, just the fact that the Habs fighting for the playoffs and Hudson impacts. Well, I wasn't talking about that, PLW. I was asked by somebody on TikTok whether or not I would trade Celebrini for Hudson 1-for-1. And I said, no, I wouldn't. And the argument I was making was essentially that, Celebrini obviously is going to be a spectacular hockey player, and that by saying I would rather have Hudson, it's not a slight on Celebrini, and that, part of the argument in favor of Celebrini and how good a hockey player he's going to be is that he's still only 18 years old. And that, obviously that is a factor to consider when you think about how good he may become, as his career moves forward. Just a shout out on how classy this Recliner Sports Show. I'm now a fan. I appreciate it, Vinny. Your name's Vinny McLiar. I don't know if you're being serious or not, but if you are, I appreciate it. If you're not, that's okay too. Certainly, if you want to come and join us over here on YT, Vinny, you can do so. Come on and join us on the YT channel, and you can certainly join the conversation over here as well. But again, if those words are sincere, then I certainly appreciate them, and thank you very much. Yeah, again, like I said, PLW, I think they're both fantastic players, and realistically, I think you would be fine if you had either one of those players, Celebrini or Hudson. But again, as I said in response to the question, I've grown invested in Lane Hudson and his success, over the last little while, and so for me, I fully prepared to admit a bias, and that I want to. I'm biased towards Lane Hudson, and I am now intrigued, and I want to see how he develops. I'll be interested to see how Macklin Celebrini develops, but I'd rather watch Lane Hudson develop on my team than Macklin Celebrini. I appreciate it, Vinny. Thank you for the kind words. If Habs make the playoffs, they would have a tough time with either Florida or Washington. Both are rugged, robust teams who are difficult to take off the puck. I would prefer the Leafs in the first round. I don't know. Again, it depends. I guess it depends on how you view it and your perspective on the playoffs, right? So for me, I think that the best experience would be against a team like Florida, right? To go and play a team like Florida in the first round of the playoffs. If the whole purpose of being in the playoffs is to gain experience and to take something with you that you can build on or you can bring with you into the future, then a series against a team like Florida, I think, would probably be the best experience. Although, a series against Toronto would be too, because, I don't think you would ever have more pressure and a more electric environment for a hockey series than a first round matchup between the Canadiens and Toronto. But again, at the end of the day, frankly, my choice of who they play in the first round isn't really based upon, who I think they can beat. Because, honestly, if they win a few games in the playoffs, then that's gravy, right? That's icing on the cake. That's a bonus. Yeah, of course, I'd love to see them win. But again, I'm not going to be disappointed if they lose in the first round. So there's Hockey Illuminati, the 41-second man. What's up there, 41-second man? The Victoire goalie was just taken off the ice, injured. Yeah. So that's, again, like I think I would say Toronto, but not because I think that the Canadiens would have a better chance of beating them. I just think that would be a really, really fun series. The only thing that would really suck is if Toronto won the series, that the Toronto Maple Leafs fans would all think it was like they would think it was 1967 all over again, right? Just because they beat the Canadiens in the first round of the playoffs. But the Jack Guy and Pizzetta situation isn't the PK and Galley situation. Yeah, I don't know. I even think Hudson is better defensively than Quinn Hughes. I think he will be. I think he will be PLW. I think he will be too. I think he will be better in all aspects of the game than perhaps any of those guys. Maybe even Makar. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the trajectory that he is on right now has him being as good as anybody who plays defense in the NHL right now. Again, that's the trajectory he's on. I'm not saying he's going to stay on that trajectory. We really don't know. Anything can happen. Again, predicting the future is not a skill that I have. But again, the trajectory that he's on is one that would put him at the top of the defensemen in the NHL. Just making the playoffs is a bonus, so who cares? I agree, Habby. I agree. Oh, there's baseball being played in Japan here. The Cubs and the Dodgers. Okay. I don't pick anybody in the first round. I like Rocky Balboa. Just bring it. Yeah. Again, especially when it doesn't really matter whether you win or lose. The later for Canadian teams to face is better. Let's get rid of Washington, then face Leafs in the second round. I want a Canadian team to win the Cup. It's about time. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not as tied up in that whole Canadian team winning the Cup thing. At the end of the day, most teams that win the Cup are largely made up of Canadian players. So, just because your rink is located in a Canadian city doesn't really, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's good for the fans, Canadian fans, but Canada-Mexico international friendly. Mexicans diving all over the place. I don't know what the score is. Is the game still going on? What was the score, man? Tell me the score. Yeah, let's get to the A-team, guys. Finally. We had a lot of questions there. So, again, guys, if you're not yet subscribed, you can certainly do so by hitting the button just down below. You can also hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying the content. Hit the likes. We are trying to grow a community here. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. If you're here, if you enjoy it, if you like talking about the Montreal Canadiens and you want a place to do that after the games, then this is the spot for you and you should subscribe. That would be really cool. And if you like it, you like the show, give us that thumbs up. I see there's 8 people currently watching. Yeah, there was more than that before. Oh, the game is on Thursday. Okay, I thought I was watching highlights there, PLW. And there is your A-team, guys. It isn't the Canadiens winning the Cup. My next bet is the Winnipeg Jets. Okay. Well, I think the Jets are going to have a hard time winning the Cup this year. Our A-team tonight, guys, is Nick Suzuki, Christian Dvorak, Brendan Gallagher, and Josh Anderson. So those are your picks, guys. I will freely admit that I had Lane Hutson on this list midway through the third period, and I had no choice but to take him out in favor of Brendan Gallagher. I also had no choice but to put Christian Dvorak on this list. I also had Patrick Laine on the list until the third period. But again, I just couldn't. I couldn't not have Christian Dvorak and Brendan Gallagher and Josh Anderson on the list. I think you also could have had Lane Hutson. You also could have had Uri Slafkovsky or Cole Caulfield. All of those guys could have been on the A-team tonight. Nick Suzuki, the leader of the team, scored a goal. Did he have an assist as well? I think he might have had an assist as well. Dvorak, of course, 4 points tonight. Gallagher with 2 assists, and Anderson with 2 goals. So all of those guys deserve it. Again, it's not all about the goals and the points, but when you have a guy that has 4 points, especially when it's a guy like Dvorak who doesn't typically do things like that, you feel compelled to put him on your A-team. I think that Dvorak has been playing his best hockey as a Montreal Canadien of late. And he's certainly making an argument for the Canadiens re-signing him. I don't know whether they will or not, but he certainly is making that decision a little bit harder than it would otherwise have been perhaps at the end of last year or even midway through this year. I think Brendan Gallagher and Josh Anderson have been good all year round. Like I said earlier, we spoke at length about those 2 guys being culture drivers, Josh Anderson being one that was singled out by the coach I believe it was today, might have been yesterday. I'm not sure when that interview was done, whether it was today's press conference or yesterday's. But again, culture drivers, right? Guys who exemplify the identity and the culture that the Canadiens are trying to build. Guys who are examples of what the Montreal Canadiens want to be as this team moves forward, as this team rebuilds. Guys who set an example for the rest of the team. Guys who, the coaching staff can point to as examples of what other players should try to be more like. I thought that was, and again, Anderson and Gallagher both being guys who have, adapted their games and taken on different roles than the ones they would have had earlier in their careers, and have, done so, willfully and without complaint, and, have taken on those roles and have excelled at it. Right? It's hard to say to yourself, okay, well, I'm now going to focus more on the defensive side of the game, and I'm going to be more of an energy guy. I'm not going to be worried about scoring. That's hard when you've been a goal scorer all your life, right? So, I think Gallagher and Anderson are both examples of what the coaching staff refers to as culture drivers. I think Nick Suzuki is as well. Perhaps a younger version of it, but as the captain, I think he's a guy who leads by example, and I think the other guys are happy to follow him. There was that, I can't remember who it was that tried to hit him at one point, and he just buried him down by the goal line, and then the other guy got up again and went after Suzuki again, got his elbows and his stick up high, and the referee, of course, didn't call it. But again, right, just when you think that Nick Suzuki doesn't really have the size to be physical. He proves you wrong, right? He buried Nikita Kucherov in a game earlier this year and set the tone, and then he did it again tonight. And it was fun to watch. He's a really fun guy to watch. So again, I think the common thread on tonight's A team is a little bit about culture drivers, right? Gallagher, Anderson, and Suzuki, and I guess to a lesser extent Christian Dvorak, role players, right? Guys who know their role, play their role, and accept their role. It says Canucks again. I thought I fixed it. Does it say Canucks again? No, it doesn't. Oh, it said it on this one, didn't it? It did say it on this one, so I will go... I'll go here. I will go here. And I will go there. Okay, it's fixed, guys. It's fixed. Just just in case you don't believe me. There. Canadian Senators. There. Got it? All right. We'll go back to this. 4 for 4 with your minor adjustment. Yes, there you go, Enter Tap. There you go. Laine played a very good 5 versus 5 game tonight. He was responsible for Allmark not having a stick. Dvorak's goal should get. Yeah, again, I think Laine played a great game tonight. I had some blowback on that. I just think from trolls more than anything on Blue Sky. I think that Laine had a really good game tonight. I actually criticized the announcers on RDS, Pierre Oud, and I'm not even sure who was this color guy tonight, but after the first period, finding an excuse to criticize Patrick Laine. Patrick Laine had a really, really good first period, and they were criticizing him for passes that he made in the offensive zone that didn't make it to their destination, which I thought was completely unfair. You're in the offensive zone. He's a creative hockey player. He's trying to make plays. Not every pass is going to make it through. They're not super risky plays because you are in the offensive zone. And the criticism just came off really hollow to me after Laine played what I thought was a really good first period. He was getting back on defense. He was being physical. Like you said, he tore the stick out of Olmark's hands on that first shot of the game. I just thought it was really, really tough. Pierre Maguire is a strong Dvorak advocate. Okay, Dvorak's a good hockey player. I mean, he was, Mitch Marner's line mate in junior hockey, had 100 points or whatever it was in his last year of junior. Was a really good hockey player. Has had to adapt his game in order to stick around the NHL. I don't think he was going to be a big offensive producer in the NHL, and certainly he's been playing his best hockey as a Montreal Canadien since Christmas time. He's a key figure when it comes to winning faceoffs and doing certain things, and I don't know that he will get the same kind of contract he currently has, but I think he's making an argument to stick with the team. One unsung hero tonight was Struble while playing with Hudson. They have been very solid, yes. I mean, I talked about it in the last show, right? Jaden Struble went from being a guy who could barely get in the lineup to a guy who's playing 17, 18 minutes a game. And, he and Hudson have become a very formidable defensive pairing. Right? They're as good as anybody. Like, they're as good as anybody on the team defensive. Like, that pairing has been solid and steady for 6-7 games in a row now. And honestly, if Caden Gooley comes back, or when Caden Gooley comes back, I think the Canadiens are going to have a really tough decision if they decide to sit down Jaden Struble. Because frankly, he's not been the odd man out. He's not the guy who would be the odd man out. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes when Caden Gooley comes back. Who, by the way, practiced with the team for the first time today, right? So he is looking at maybe another 3 weeks or so to come back. I meant to say it'd be cool if you did a live stream with a hockey digest. Okay. I will likely do Habs Therapy Day tomorrow. Suzuki is an Ironman. Okay. He plays. He doesn't miss very many games. I don't know if he's missed any games of late. Has he? I'd look it up, but I'm not gonna right now. Line had drawn that game-winning goal. PP. No, he didn't. He drew another power play earlier in the game, but the power play that resulted in the game-winning goal was drawn by Josh Anderson, I believe. I think Struble is getting above Jack-Eye in the D men's pyramid. I love his play right now. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, Jack-Eye's playing pretty solid hockey too. I think Jack-Eye's playing pretty solid too. It says Penguins. Oh, you're just kidding. Okay, you got me, Intertap. The Vegas game is Canadiens game in 2021. Playoffs was the worst. So many penalties weren't called. Okay. I don't know. I don't remember that, but Line A made some solid back checks. Yeah, again, I think that Line A played a great game tonight. I know that not everybody agrees with that. I also know that there's a lot of people out there who have a narrative built up in their head about what Patrick Line is. They don't like him. They have they have preconceived notions about what he is as a hockey player and as a person, and they find it very, very difficult to accept that maybe they're not right, and they have a hard. They're entrenched in that position, and I think there's a little bit of a confirmation bias. There's Michael Hage, Rookie of the Year in the Big Ten Conference. There's a bit of a confirmation bias, so every time he does something wrong, it gets blown up, and every time he does something right, they tend to ignore it. But there is a group of people led by the francophone media in Montreal who have it out for Patrick Laine, have reached conclusions about him, I think, that are inaccurate and unfair, and they just never they never will admit otherwise, regardless of what he does. Who would be my odd man out when Gooley is ready to be back? I don't know. I don't know, PLW. Like I said, it would be a very tough decision. It would be an extremely tough decision. I think there would be an argument for it to be Savard Entertap. I think there would be an argument to be made that Savard would be a seventh defenseman, and that you would bring him in to spell other guys. But again, he is you're right, PLW. He's a big part of the team, right? He's big on the penalty kill. He's a guy you can rely on to put out there. At the end of a game when it's a close game. He does a lot of things that it would be hard to put him as the seventh defenseman. But if you have an eye to the future, excuse me, guys. If you have an eye to the future and, what this team will look like in 2, 3, 4 years from now, then who would you rather get that playoff experience for? Would you rather see David Savard get that playoff experience? Or would you rather see Jaden Struble get that playoff experience? Like who do you want to see get those games and get that experience? I don't think they're stalling Gouli's comeback. I don't believe that's the case. I think they'll want to get him back in the lineup as quickly as possible, but also as safely and reasonably as possible as well. Suzuki, Gallagher, Caulfield, I think you mean to say, and Anderson, Evans, Newhook, Savard all have playoff experience. Suzuki, Gallagher, Caulfield, Anderson, Evans, Newhook, Savard. Yes, all those guys do have playoff experience, Rodney. You are correct. Armenia. Well, you're having a hard time tonight, Rodney. We got Caulfield, Newhook, and Armenia are on the team. Game 4 or 5 against the Vegas Golden Knights in the 2021 playoffs, there was like 6-7 penalties. Again, it was a long time ago. NHL or Adrian, I'm not really. It doesn't ring any bells with me, but I'll take your word for it. Huge win for the Canadiens. It was indeed, Sebastien. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Is that going to be it for tonight? Are we reaching the end of our rope here? We've got. It says there's only 3 people watching right now, but I think that there's probably more than that. Has Coach ended his show yet? Is Coach still on the air? I don't know if anyone's going to pop over here from there. If they do. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, PLW. I don't think Jack Guy is going to be the odd man out. I think they like Arbor Jack Guy and what he brings to the team and the role that he plays. And I don't think he's going anywhere. I think what is more likely to happen is that you'll see somebody in that group get traded, right? And again, as much as I love Struble, if Reinbacher makes the team, or Mailloux makes the team, or Engstrom makes the team, or Kanyushkov makes the team, we'll see. We'll see. Coach gone a long time ago. Oh, Coach's show's been over for a while? Okay. I'm just messing with you, Rodney. It's all good, man. Hudson, Gouli, Matheson, Struble on the left side. Yeah, there's a lot of guys on the left side. And, Mailloux's a righty. Reinbacher is a righty. Engstrom is a lefty. So, it'll be interesting. Yeah, put Gouli in at 2C. Maybe Jack Guy. Right? Big power forward. Arbor Jack Guy, put him on the second line, that center. You never know. Stranger things. Well, I don't know if stranger things have ever happened. Hugo Langlois, what's up? All right, Rodney, have a good one, man. Thank you for coming. I'm going to end the show there anyway, guys. I do appreciate everybody for coming by. If you are not yet subscribed, especially if you're watching the show on a replay, I would ask that you do so. The button here is just below the screen. Again, we're trying to build a community here, and we can only do that if you guys all join. We're just over 300 subscribers now. We need to get to 500. That's our ultimate goal, or that's our first goal. It's a bit slow going, but hopefully we can get there. Tell your friends. If you have friends out there that you think would enjoy this content, that like to talk about the Canadiens, and again, I try, You can tell me if I'm not achieving it, but I try to provide a place where everybody can come and have civil, intelligent, rational conversations, objective conversations about the Canadiens, right? Not the rah rah, my team's awesome, your team sucks kind of stuff, but some intelligent talk about the Canadiens and the NHL in general. So if you do enjoy that, then I certainly invite you to join our community and subscribe. And if you don't, then you can just hang out and do your thing. If you do enjoy the content, give us a thumbs up, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Devin, I'm saying you might have to trade Gooley and get yourself a true 2C. I got you now. I was kind of messing around before earlier. Enter tap. Gooley, maybe you trade Gooley. Again, if Struble continues to play the way that he has, and you get him into some playoff games, and he turns out to be okay in the playoffs, then all of a sudden you've got a guy with some pretty high trade value as well, right? There's a lot of things that could happen. Enter tap. It'll be interesting, but again, they're getting to the point now where they're going to perhaps have some excess assets, and not just excess assets in the sense that throwaway kind of guys, but assets that have value that you don't have room for anymore, right? And so there's going to come a point where there's going to be a couple of NHL caliber defensemen who you don't have room on your roster for, and there's going to come a time where you're going to have some NHL caliber forwards that you don't have room for. So maybe you can parlay them into filling some of the roles that you need to fill on your team. So we shall see. I don't know that Gooley is that guy. Is Marco on the? Marco loves to talk about trading established Montreal Canadiens players. I'm obviously more against it. I typically, I hesitate to trade our guys. Again, I get that at some point you may have to, but you're going to have to, right? At some point you're going to have 7 or 8 defensemen who are perfectly capable of contributing at the NHL level, and you're only going to have room for 6 of them. And then you're going to start having guys like Sean Farrell and Philip Majar, right? Do you keep Sean Farrell in the American Hockey League, right? Do you use him to bolster your American Hockey League team, or is he going to want to leave and go somewhere else where he may have a better chance of breaking into the NHL roster, right? Is Sean Farrell going to be a guy who's going to be happy being an AHL player for his entire career? I don't know. Anyways, we were just about to end the show, guys, and you guys pulled me back into to conversation. The Ottawa Senators' third pairing is terrible compared to the Montreal Canadiens' third pairing. There's no denying it, right? And that's to me the great bit about a rebuild is that you have the opportunity to build when you do it right, you have the opportunity to build your entire team. Again, people talk about how important it is to get, top 6 players, but it's also important to get bottom 6 players. And when you can get the right guys to fill those roles, to sit in those chairs, as opposed to just guys who, don't fit anywhere else, so you're going to throw them on the 4th line, that's when you have the opportunity to build a really good hockey team. Farrell can be better than Joshua Roy right now. Offensively, he might be able to. But again, I don't see Sean Farrell having the versatility that Joshua Roy does. Sean Farrell's not going to play on your bottom 6. If Sean Farrell wants to make the Montreal Canadiens, he needs to break into the top 6, and I just don't see there being room for him to do that. So for him to make the top 6, he has to be better than the guys who are in the top 6. He needs to be better than Demidov. He needs to be better than Laine. He needs to be better than those other guys. Plus, he's small, right? And the Canadiens are going to hesitate to bring another smallish forward into their roster, right? They've already got Cole Caulfield. Nick Suzuki certainly doesn't play small, but he's not the biggest guy in the world. Ivan Demidov is, right around 6 feet, maybe 6'1". Not the biggest forwards in the world. So, bringing in another, I think Farrell's 5'9" or 5'10", bringing in another guy like that isn't going to be at the top of the Canadiens' priority list. Again, unless he is able to really, turn things on and be the kind of player that you can't deny, then I don't see Sean Farrell having a great opportunity to make the Montreal Canadiens. I thought I agree. Mentioned that Newhook showed some great sparks tonight. He had some fly. Yeah, Sean. Alex Newhook's a good hockey player, and if Alex Newhook is your third line center or a winger on your third line, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. Yeah, I just don't think that he's proven that yet at PLW. Like he's struggled. He was injured, but I think at this point, I don't see Farrell cracking. Is Farrell your second line center? I mean, again, I think he has to show quite a bit more than he's already shown in order to be that guy. But anyways, guys, that's all for tonight. I appreciate everybody. Thank you guys, everybody, for coming. Larry, PLW, Sebastien, Entertap, all the other guys who were here. Rodney, Adrian, Jerry. Who else we got here? I said Adrian already. Larry Lavalle, I already said. Cohen was in here briefly. Cohen Wiedek. Billy was here, had to go to bed. That's all good. Maybe he's watching in a replay. Alex Bob was here. We had a good crew in here tonight, guys. Lots of questions. Vince 11 was here. Claude Richard was here. Antoine Bouchard was here. We didn't get a chance to speak French tonight, guys. Nobody asked me any French questions. J'aimerais bien vous répondre en français. Si vous avez des questions en français, vous pouvez me les poser en français. J'aimerais bien avoir l'opportunité de vous parler en français. So if you guys want to speak to me in French, I'm more than happy to do it. I would love to create a bilingual place for you guys to talk about the Canadiens. Anonymous was here earlier as well. So that's pretty much everybody, guys. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate all of your contributions, all of your questions, all of your comments. You guys are the best. I appreciate it. Hopefully we will see you next one. I think the Canadiens play on Thursday night, I think is their next game, which is against the Islanders. So another big game against another wild card challenger, another opportunity for the Canadiens to build the lead over the other teams that are chasing that wild card spot. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I hope that you enjoyed the show. If you have any comments, feel free to post them down in the comment section. If you're not subscribed and you're watching on a replay, please do so. Hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. We are trying to build you guys a place. I love talking with you guys, and the more the merrier. So the more of you that want to join, the better for me. Again, I really enjoy doing this, and I hope that you do too. And we will see you next time. The Habs defeat the Ottawa Senators 6-3 in what was probably the biggest game of the year. They are now in a wild card spot. The Canadiens, right now, if the playoffs started today, the Canadiens would be playing playoff hockey. So enjoy it, guys. This is what it means to be a Canadiens fan. It feels great. I hope that you guys enjoy it, and we will see you on Thursday. Actually, we'll probably see you tomorrow for Habs Therapy Day. So peace out.
Parked in front, Docks a Caulfield fire, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.